She walked into our house with him, laughing, holding a bottle of wine like she owned the place. And right when they settled on the couch, my face lit up on the TV screen. The video was already playing. Her jaw dropped, and I just stood there holding the remote. I gave her every chance, every benefit of the doubt. But the night her GPS betrayed her, I realized the woman I married had become a stranger. What do you do when the person you trust the most builds a secret life behind your back? In this story, I take you through every step, from the first red flags to the cold, calculated revenge she never saw coming. Stay with me, because the way this ends, it's not just about betrayal. It's about taking your power back. Welcome to Reddit Stories. This is a place where we share real stories from anonymous Reddit users. For the first 6 years of our marriage, Lena and I were solid. Not perfect, no marriage is, but we had trust. We shared everything. I knew her coffee order by heart, and she could tell when I was having a bad day just by the way I opened the fridge. That kind of closeness doesn't just happen overnight. It's built. But lately, something shifted. It started subtly. She'd come home later than usual. I'd have dinner ready, candles lit, trying to be sweet, and she'd send a text. "Sorry, babe. Stuck at work." Again. The first few times, I believed her. Of course I did. She worked in marketing, lots of last-minute campaigns and presentations. I even offered to bring her food a couple of times, but she always said she was too swamped. Fair enough, but it kept happening. Not just once or twice a week, but 3, sometimes 4 nights. And every time she walked in the door, it felt like she brought a different version of herself with her. Distracted, cold, she'd barely make eye contact. No hugs, no kisses. Hell, half the time she didn't even ask how my day was. And when we were in bed, she always turned her back to me, said she was exhausted. I started blaming myself. Was I boring? Was I too predictable? Maybe I wasn't trying hard enough. So I stepped it up, made her favorite meals, booked a weekend getaway, bought flowers just because, and still nothing changed. Then one night, she left her phone on the kitchen counter while she was in the shower. That's when I saw the notification pop up. Your location has been updated. It was from a GPS tracking app we both had installed years ago when we went hiking in Colorado. For safety, we said. Never really used it after that. Out of sheer instinct, I tapped it. She wasn't at the office. She was in a residential neighborhood on the other side of town, nowhere near her job. My stomach dropped. I told myself maybe she was visiting a coworker or stuck in traffic and pulled over to take a call. But something inside me, something deep and heavy, told me otherwise. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. Instead, I laid next to her in bed, pretending everything was fine, while my mind spun in 1,000 directions. That's when I knew I had to follow her. Not because I wanted to catch her, but because I needed the truth, even if it broke me. The next Thursday, Lena said the usual. "Sorry, babe. Late night again. This campaign's a nightmare." I smiled, kissed her cheek, told her, "Don't work too hard." Inside, my stomach churned. She left around 6:30 p.m., dressed just a little too nice for a late night at the office. Makeup perfectly done, heels she hadn't worn in months. I waited 10 minutes, then got in my truck. I already had the GPS pulled up. She wasn't headed downtown. She was headed west. The drive felt surreal, like I was watching a movie where I already knew the twist, but still hoped for a different ending. My heart pounded as I followed from a few blocks behind, keeping my headlights low. I didn't even know what I was expecting. Maybe to catch her in a lie, maybe to prove myself wrong. She pulled into a quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind with manicured lawns, 2-car garages, and porch swings. No office buildings in sight. She parked in front of a tan, single-story house. I stayed parked around the corner, engine off. I watched as she stepped out, glanced around quickly, like she knew she was doing something wrong, and walked straight to the door. No hesitation. It opened before she could knock. A man stood there, maybe mid-30s, tall, athletic build. He smiled at her like she was his entire world. And she smiled back. Not the tight, tired smile I'd been getting at home. No, this one was real, bright, the kind that once belonged to me. Then she stepped forward and kissed him. I just sat there, frozen, not angry yet, not even heartbroken, just numb, like my body was in shock and my brain hadn't caught up. She disappeared inside, door closed behind her. I must have sat there for 20, maybe 30 minutes, just staring at the house. I thought about storming up to the door, demanding answers, shouting until the whole damn neighborhood heard. But I didn't. Something told me not to blow it. Not yet. Instead, I turned the key, backed up slowly, and drove home in silence. Later that night, she came back smelling like hotel soap and cheap wine, told me she was exhausted, and went straight to bed. I stared at the ceiling for hours, not because I didn't know what to do, but because I already did. I was going to get the truth, every last detail, and when I did, she wouldn't see it coming. The next few days, I played it cool, like nothing had changed. I still kissed her goodbye in the mornings, packed her lunch, asked about her day when she got home, and every night, she lied right to my face, like clockwork. But behind the scenes, I became someone else entirely. Quiet, focused, obsessed. I bought a cheap burner phone and installed the GPS app there, so she wouldn't notice anything on her phone or our shared account. I began tracking every movement. She was visiting that same house 2 or 3 times a week, always in the evenings, always staying a few hours. I ran the property records. His name was Caleb R. Foster. I didn't recognize the name at first, until I remembered Lena mentioning a new guy at her office about a month ago. Just a kid, she'd said, still learning the ropes. Guess he learned more than I thought. I started digging. Social media, LinkedIn, anything. Turns out Caleb was fresh out of grad school, working under Lena's department. Young, single, pretty boy smile. The kind of guy who probably thought he hit the jackpot when older, married woman giving him attention. But it got worse. So much worse. I checked our credit card statements. At first glance, nothing unusual. But when I looked closer, a $300 charge at a boutique hotel downtown, 2 tickets to a concert I never went to, a meal at a restaurant I've never even heard of, all on our joint card, all on nights she told me she was working late. And that was just the beginning. She'd also use our Amazon account to ship him gifts, hoodies, cologne, even a damn smartwatch. All billed to me. I felt sick, violated, like I was funding my own humiliation. One night, I followed her again, but this time I parked closer, watched them through the living room window. They sat on the couch, drinking wine, laughing. He had his arm around her. She looked at peace, happy. I hadn't seen her smile like that in months. And then it hit me. She was building a second life, one without me. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even sad. I was clear, focused. This wasn't just betrayal. It was deception, theft, and cowardice, all rolled into one. And I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to burn it all down, quietly, precisely, and with a smile. By the time Friday rolled around, I had everything I needed. Screenshots of GPS logs, credit card statements, photos from outside the house. Even a short video I recorded through the window, blurry, but clear enough to show Lena kissing Caleb. I wasn't interested in yelling, throwing things, or playing a heartbroken husband. I wanted precision. I wanted her to remember this moment for the rest of her life. So I made a plan. That evening, I told Lena I'd be flying out for a quick work trip. Just a couple of nights, nothing big. She barely looked up from her phone, just muttered something like, "Safe travels." No hug, no goodbye kiss. Perfect. The next day, Saturday, I packed a bag and left it by the door just for show, drove around the block, parked 2 streets over, and walked back through the alley behind our house. I had already disconnected the smart camera on the front porch earlier that week. She wouldn't see it coming. I waited, At 7:12 p.m., a silver Audi pulled up. Caleb. He walked right into my house like he owned the place. I watched from the back window as Lena greeted him in my kitchen, poured him wine from my bottle, and laughed like nothing in the world could touch them. I slipped into the back door. Quiet. Then I turned on the living room TV, where I had already queued up the video of them together. The sudden sound startled them. They came around the corner, laughing, until they saw me, standing there with the remote in my hand and their betrayal playing in 4K behind me. Lena froze. Caleb turned pale. I didn't say a word at first. Just let the silence choke the room. Then I looked at Lena. I figured you'd at least wait until the divorce was final before bringing your boyfriend into my house. She opened her mouth, proud to deny it, but I cut her off. Save it. I know everything. The house visits, the gifts, the charges on our card, the GPS logs, all of it. She stammered. Nathan, No. I said, calm as ever. This isn't a conversation. It's a decision. Mine. Then I handed her the envelope. Inside was a divorce agreement already signed by me, with full documentation of her infidelity. Enough to give me the house, the car, and sole custody of anything we shared. Her hands were shaking. Caleb quietly slipped out the door. Lena looked at me, voice trembling. You planned all this? I nodded. I trusted you with my life, and you gave it to a stranger, so now I'm taking it back. And then I walked out. The thing about betrayal is, it doesn't hit all at once. It creeps in like fog. You don't even realize you're choking on it until the air clears. And for the first time in months, I could breathe. After I walked out that night, I didn't look back. I checked into a hotel downtown, sat on the edge of bed, and stared out the window for a long time. Not thinking, not crying, just quiet, like someone had hit pause on the chaos. The next morning, I contacted my lawyer, sent him the updated evidence, and told him to move forward with a divorce. Lena didn't fight it, not after seeing how airtight the documentation was. She signed without a single demand. Maybe she was too embarrassed, or maybe she realized she had nothing to bargain with. The house went to me, the car, the savings account, all mine. She walked away with a small settlement, barely enough to furnish a one-bedroom apartment. I found out later Caleb had ghosted her a week after the confrontation. Apparently, sleeping with your boss's wife isn't such a turn-on once the lights come on. Lena tried to reach out a few times after that. Texts like, "Can we talk?" or "I miss you. Please." I didn't answer. She made her choices, and I made mine. Instead, I focused on myself. I started going to the gym again, picked up old hobbies I had let die in the slow erosion of our marriage. Photography, hiking, Saturday morning coffee runs with no one to check in with. And you know what? It felt good. Not in a revenge kind of way, but in a quiet, steady, reclaiming my life kind of way. One night, months later, I posted my story anonymously on Reddit. I didn't expect much, maybe a few upvotes, some kind words, but it blew up. Hundreds of people commented, DM'd, even thanked me for giving them the courage to walk away from their own toxic situations. It was strange. I had felt like a fool, a man who missed all the signs. But suddenly I wasn't alone. And in a weird way, neither are you if you're reading this. To anyone out there who's ignoring the gut feeling, who's trying to love someone through their lies, you're not crazy. You're not paranoid. You're just finally seeing clearly. And once you do, don't stay stuck in fog. Walk away with your head high and never look back. Welcome to Reddit Stories. And thank you for listening to a true tale, shared by someone anonymous, but deeply real. See you in the next story.